Hello everyone, and welcome back to DMG. Again, we are going to be looking at a graphics card. This time, the ATI FirePro V3800. Now, compared to the HD 8490/R5240 we looked at in last video, on paper it's about, 5 to 10% more powerful in terms of graphics. However, it has only 512 megabytes of VRAM, half the amount of the R5240 or HD 8490. Sorry, I keep forgetting the number from last video. And it's about $10 to $15 on eBay, which is marginally more expensive than the Radeon HD card. So is it worth the trade-off? We're going to find out in just a second. Before I talk about the specs, I want to say this is a 43 watt card, even though it is so small. This was a pretty high class small card when it came out. This heatsink is actually solid copper. It is very heavy, and it's built pretty well. And also I will be trying to overclock it a little and seeing how that helps it out. But let's talk a little bit more about the specs. Just reading from the Tech PowerUp GPU database, here it is, launched in 2010. So, its drivers are not as recent. Although it just has DDR3 memory instead of GDDR3, like the HD card from last video, it's clocked at, I think, actually a higher speed of 900 megahertz by default. So the memory type doesn't really matter, it's the actual speed. Let's see. It's PCIe 2.0 x 16, so if you have a 2.0 only system, it might be a bit better because you're getting significantly limited bandwidth on, the Radeon HD card from last video if you're not using PCIe 3.0, especially because it's an X8 slot. But it has a good bit more cores and TMUs. I think the ROP count is the same. Let me check really quickly. Yeah, you get more cores, actually fewer TMUs, and the same amount of ROPs. Just, apples to oranges. But yeah, there's the card in terms of specs. Let's go see how it does in benchmarks. Here we are with our FirePro V3800. Already the fan is really loud, like way louder than it should be. We have GDDR3, 512 megs, and our drivers are pretty old. They're from 2017. Here is our default clock, but I'm going to bump that up to 850, and probably maybe 1200. It might take that. Alright, looks like it won't take that. We're getting little lines across the screen. Oh, well, they stopped, so I'm just going to keep it. I'll bump core up to 900 then. And hit apply. Yeah, we're getting these little flickers, but only for a few seconds. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, though. Boom. Yeah, the fan speed is like 15%, and it's just sitting here doing nothing. So how about we just... Ooh, it doesn't like that. Whoops. So it did not like that overclock. Card's fine. I'll just bump it down to like 700. Just set it to 750 and 1000. Alright, so it's doing okay. Our GPU temp is very low. Okay, so everything's running at our specified clocks, and we have two GPU temp sensors, and they seem to be the exact same thing. Okay. Per usual, we're starting out with our FPS game. Not super heavy, but it's a decent benchmark. I'll turn on the built-in FPS counter. Wow, that's actually a lot lower than I expected. That's lower than the previous Radeon card we tested for sure. So allegedly, this FirePro card is more powerful than the Radeon card that I tested in the last GPU benchmark video. However, we're getting 50 FPS opposed to like over 100. So we're getting less than half the frame rate in this pretty light game. Oh, there we go. When we're just looking off into the void, we're getting 100 FPS. But, you know, actual gameplay is definitely not very much. So when there's not much going on, you get an acceptable frame rate, but, you know, 1/3 to 1/2 of the frame rate is lost compared to the Radeon card. So I'm actually surprised that it's performing worse. Because the map is so open, there's really like no best way to beat the game. So I find myself doing it a slightly different way every time. I'm so good at this game. But yeah, I mean, it's not awful, but it does seem to be performing slightly worse than the Radeon, which is interesting. GPU temperature was fine. Yeah, it was our GPU load, so it was not a bottleneck from memory or anything. It was our GPU die. So it's probably down to drivers. Now, there is no FPS counter in this game, but it just feels a little slower than the Radeon card, if you know what I mean. Again, all of these tests are 1366 by 768. There was quite a lot of lag back there when those bricks exploded. And again, sorry I'm filming off the monitor, but there's no good way to capture these older GPUs. If you want to play a little bit of Roblox, it's perfectly playable. I'm playing this incredible game called, oh hello, Obama Hamburger Sussy Balls. And it's a fantastic game. It's Ubisoft's latest AAA title. I would highly recommend picking it up. I'm going to drive this car. Wow, this is actually fast. So yes, you can just drive around, look at Among Us. I think that's the correct plural. You know. Wait, it's an Obama car? It's the Obamobile. No way. So yeah, you can have some fun driving the Obamobile if you really want to. I don't know why you would want to. However, if you do, it is a fun, I guess, playable experience. Next up, of course, we're gonna try Minecraft because it's another pretty light 3D game. Not using any texture packs. This is just vanilla. Now, the Radeon card ran this fine, so I expect this FirePro to do just fine. Yeah, I mean, past this point, it runs fine. Well, I mean, you get these stutters while things are still loading in, but, you know. You can do totally typical, normal Minecraft things, you know, just kind of flying around, causing chaos. You can just help the villagers out with their daily tasks and definitely not hurt them. Definitely nothing suspicious going on here. Oh wow, that got laggy quick. Let's see. I'll probably turn down the render distance a tiny bit to help alleviate some of the lag we're seeing. Oh yeah, I had it at 76 chunks for some reason. Let's put that down to like something you might actually want to play it at, which is 24. Yeah, at 24 it's very playable. You know, you can, again, do normal Minecraft things. Yeah, so it runs very well. Oh, also, you'll see it's running back at 650 and 900. it crashed again while I was opening the Epic Games launcher. So looks like this card doesn't take overclocking very well, and its ASIC quality is 42%. So definitely not the best. I would have thought it could at least take a 100 megahertz overclock though, because you know some of these other cards we've tested have taken a couple hundred megahertz with no issue. But of course next we're going to be trying Beam and G. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down from what I had it on a little bit. I'll put it on the lowest preset. Here we go. This is definitely not what the West Coast USA map is supposed to look like. There we go. Buildings, am I right, chat? Okay, so it's performing a little worse than the Radeon card. Just in terms of speed of loading things, it's extremely slow. And again, I believe this is down to its drivers not being optimized for gaming. Once things are loaded in, it looks like we're getting maybe 10 to 15 FPS, which isn't super great. But for some reason, if you want to pay more for a game than your GPU, you could do that with Beam and G. Now, you would want to keep it on the lowest preset. You wouldn't want to turn it up any, because that's going to cause massive amounts of lag and make it pretty unplayable. So yes, you can play the game, but it just won't look very good at all. Yes, I know how to drive. Shut up. Once you start getting up to speed, oh, I heard the, oh, that's a fence. Wow, alright then. I did not think there would be a fence there. But as I was saying, once you start getting up to speed, it does lag a little more, because, of course, it's having to draw things faster. And I heard the GPU fan ramp up a little bit as I was going faster. So, this is actually Britain. We drive on the left side of the road here. Thank you very much. This car cannot drift. Alright, I'll go down the hill of death, and then that'll be it. This is why I never want to live in California. That's why. Oh yeah, and of course our GPU, but also our VRAM was the limiting factor there. Now our CPU is actually getting hotter than our GPU. The cooler on this card is complete overkill. Alright, here we go. It's not great, but this is probably like 30 to 40 FPS. Again, I can't launch an FPS monitor because either the software won't run at all, or it'll slow down the computer too much. But this GPU definitely is not helping my aim in the slightest. So it runs okay. It's not particularly good, but if you're picking up a GPU to stick it in Ancient Optiplex with like a Core 2 Duo, and this is your cheapest thing, you can find it for like 10 bucks. It's gonna be fine. I recommend the Radeon card over this that I tested last video, and I of course recommend the Quadro K620 as like the best ultra tight budget GPU. Now, even prices of like GTX 1050s are coming down nowadays, whoops. But, you know, even 1050s are getting cheap enough that you might actually be able to find one for around this price if you know where to look. So, of course, I would recommend that. I'm so good at this game. I'm so good at the game. Look at that. It's Walter White. It's literally Walter White. And his name is Walt. Okay, Breaking Bad jokes aside, like, the game looks surprisingly good on these settings. I bet you could turn it down a little lower and it will still look acceptable, and you can get an okay frame rate. like an even higher frame rate than this. Where are they? Oh, hello. I swear there was a guy up there. How about we do a little Unreal Tournament 2004 before we do another game that people still play? Because a good usage for these, you know, graphics cards is older games. Because one of these probably beats a GeForce 6800 or something like that. So if you want to play some older games, one of these cards might be a good choice. It seems to be running quite well. But again, it's Unreal Tournament 2004. Now this game, when you start modding it, it can look incredibly good. This is one of the best game soundtracks of all time. It truly is. Where is the entire blue team? Oh, here they are. Here they were. Correction.
Red flag taken.
So yeah, if you want to cause some good old-fashioned 2004 chaos, this card is perfect. And this card also has XP drivers, if I recall correctly. So I think you could use it on XP. So yeah, this is definitely a good card for older games. Cross out, here we go. Gonna open my, oh, that's not too good. We're getting a 85 millisecond render latency. Let's fix that immediately. So I'm gonna set it to the low preset. I don't know what I had it set on. Ooh, we're still not doing too well. We're getting barely over 30. And about 30 millisecond render latency. And this looks like 75% render scale. Yeah. So I'm gonna put the render scale at 100. But I'm gonna turn on TAA, and then that'll let me turn on Performance FSR. So I'm gonna try that out and see what happens. Okay, we're still getting about 30 FPS. Instead of looking blocky, it just looks blurry. Oh, that's actually a much better frame rate than we were getting. So that's like 10 FPS more. So if you want to be really extreme with the FSR, I suppose you can, and get a decent frame rate. Alright, let's go harass some people. Probably going to have ridiculously high ping, so any lag you're going to be seeing is probably ping related. Yeah. I mean, 40 FPS. It looks pretty bad because of the FSR. It doesn't really come across on camera, but it looks like I'm playing the game with my glasses off, honestly. It's just not very pleasant. And our render latency is about 23 milliseconds. Now for comparison, on my main computer when I play this game, that's about 6 milliseconds. So I mean, we're getting an acceptable frame rate. It's not particularly good, and the game doesn't look particularly good, but in a pinch, you can definitely play this game on this card, although I still recommend the Radeon card over it. Alright, here we go. This is my 11-hour, 57-minute Subnautica save. Because I've spent too much of my life playing this game. So, let's see. We're seeing a lot of lag inside the base. I assume that's mainly due to our limited video memory. I'm just gonna be walking around a bit, you know. I'll try driving. How about that? Oh, wow. Alright, that's a little laggy. A little laggy is a pretty gross understatement. But, I think extremely laggy would be better. Like, here, let me just show you how much input lag there is. So yeah, there is quite a lot of input lag. Again, because it's backing up the GPU's textures that it needs to be storing. Since there's limited VRAM, they're backing up into the DDR3 system memory, which, let's be honest, you're not going to have like DDR6 like 5 gigahertz if you're using this old of a GPU, this cheap of a GPU. So yeah, just doing a little cruise. Oh. Oh, alright. Well, it didn't like that. Oh. It crashed, reopened, and then crashed again. I think next we're going to try a little bit of BioShock. It's a pretty old game. It should run just fine. BioShock usually doesn't have any issues on these older graphics cards. Ooh, it's definitely not running as well as the Radeon card. The fire and water reflections definitely do seem to be throwing off this little GPU. There is noticeable input lag, but this opening sequence is one of the most demanding. So you won't run into something quite like this in any other part of the game. Like, of course there will be fire and water in the game, but it won't be this hard on your video card for the most part. These reflections really did get it for a minute there, but I mean, once we're on solid ground. Alright, I set it to low quality, the lowest preset. We're gonna be playing Tomb Raider. We'll see how this runs. It will probably, again, it'll be acceptable, like the Radeon card. I'm just amazed that it's performing worse than the Radeon card. Again, probably a combination of VRAM and drivers. Textures aren't looking too good on the low preset, but it seems to be running decently well. So I don't really have any complaints about frame rate. It looks quite good. Well, as in frame rate. Yeah, definitely lowest preset. The textures don't look too hot, but I mean, it still looks pretty decent. So you can definitely run this game on this card. This game is even playable on like newer integrated graphics. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's getting old enough where it will start to be runnable on pretty much anything. But if you really want to crank it up, you will still need a high-end graphics card. Alright, average of 40.7, so I wouldn't recommend turning it above the lowest preset, but if you really wanted to, you could of course play it, and you could play around with the settings a little bit too, but just a reminder, the benchmark is only one area of the game, not all of it, of course. So of course that doesn't accurately reflect what every single area of the game will look and perform like. Alright, next we're going to be playing some Borderlands 3, or at least attempting to. It's already running slowly just on the login screen. You can see the stuff lagging around as it's moving. I'm going to see if I can turn the graphics settings all the way down to the minimum. And I have had a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but a couple people asked me why I still use Windows 10 instead of Windows 11. It's just because I really don't like Windows 11. It's just bad. I'll just set low for like everything and see if it works. Now, it's running, but there's a lot of input lag. Like, look at this. That is some pretty extreme input lag. We're getting like 10 to 15 FPS here. Wow. What is happening? I have no idea what is going on here. Have fun. Luckily, my little monkey guy is not affected by lag, so I'll just let him do all the work. Oh, hello. Where did you come from? I have no clue what's happening. So I'm sorry if I'm especially bad at the game. It's because it's like 4 FPS. So Borderlands 3 was actually decently playable on that Radeon card, but I cannot say the same for this. I bet it's down to the VRAM, and probably textures as well, but mainly VRAM. Or sorry, not textures, that's not what I meant. I meant drivers. Because, oh no, there's still more of them. Oh, this is probably the worst place to go with a bad GPU, because now I'm just getting shot at by like 40 people. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Okay, so don't play Borderlands 3 on this card, it won't go well. Again, if you want to pay more for the game than your card, have fun. Oh no, why are there... Fire. Oh, and of course it's the map I'm the worst at. It's not as bad as the, what's it called? The Seesaw one. That's the worst. I figured I'd test actual Fall Guys because A, it's actually a bit lighter than Bro Falls, and B, people actually play it, and C, it's a good game. Oh, here we go. We're seeing a little lag, but it's nothing, like, awful. I've seen a lot worse. Although I have seen quite a bit better as well. Oh. There's got to be something I can do about the resolution or something to alleviate a bit of this lag after this match. Although it is running okay, like it's not terrible. Personally, I wouldn't play it like that, but because that's just because I've experienced better, so it would be hard to go to this. If this is your first Fall Guys experience and you have no baseline of a GTX 980 like I do, whoops, then this is an okay experience, I suppose. Look at that, top 50%. I'm good at video games, yeah. Ooh, 50 degrees. I mean, yeah, look how overkill this cooler is. It is loud as heck. It's like a 1/4 pound of copper, and the GPU stays at 50 degrees. Like, they could have saved a lot of money by having the GPU hang in the 60s, mid-70s. The fan could have been quite a bit quieter, but no, they just went maximum overkill with the cooler. And you can't turn down the fan in Afterburner for some reason. It won't let me turn it down. Sorry if I'm especially bad at the game. I'm playing it through the camera viewfinder because I don't have a very good angle right now. But, oh, in this map where there's a lot less going on, it's running a lot better. This is closer to the, like, 30s and 40s range as opposed to, like, 20s to 30s as we were seeing in the previous map. That was close. I should probably pay attention to the game now. I can't play games well when I'm talking. And people ask why I don't do games on this channel anymore. Because I'm bad at them. Okay, that was a lot of input lag there. Oh wow. That was fast. But the issue isn't just like FPS lag, it's mainly input lag here. I'll probably put this in the title somewhere, but when I bought this, this was the cheapest FirePro card on eBay. It was normally like $15, I think. Yeah, it was normally $15.99, but I got it on sale for $12. $11.99 actually. I saved 1 cent. But, you know, for $12, you're getting a decent card, but again, better options are available for $10, because that Radeon card definitely did seem to be performing better. Well, If you haven't seen last video, what are you doing with your life? Okay, Core isn't loading, so I'm just going to end the video here, because this was going to be my final game test anyway. But this is it for this video. Thank you everyone for watching. My final conclusion is, I honestly wouldn't recommend this card unless you want one for Windows XP, like retro games, but you either want A, SFF build, or B, really cheap card. So I don't really recommend this for any modern games or even just for HTPC purposes because of its lack of support for modern video codecs and the amount of noise it makes. But if you can find it for super cheap, it's a decent old game card. But that is it for this video. Thank you everyone for watching. Next video I'm going to be doing yet another GPU because this is what I do now. I'm also going to have videos soon of things other than GPU benchmarks. But that's it for this one. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you next time.